How to fill out an I-9 form. The I-9 form is from the Department of Homeland Security. This is required by all employees. It's actually a document that both employees and employers have to fill out, as I'll explain later. This document verifies your citizenship and employment eligibility. It doesn't mean that you are required to be a citizen in order to have employment with us. However, you are required to have the proper documents. The part that you have to fill out is relatively simple. There are actually PDF fillable versions of this online, but for some reason my computer won't open them today. So all you're going to have to do is either do this by hand or in the PDF fillable. You're going to start with your last name here. If you're handwriting this, don't forget to use blue or black ink and make sure your handwriting is legible. So last name here, first name here, middle initial. Typically you won't have need of this, but if you do have other last names that you've used, if you have a maiden name for instance, or if you were adopted and changed your name, you can put your other last name here. Your address goes here. Apartment number, city or town, state, zip code, your date of birth, please don't forget that. Your social security number, also don't forget that, that's essential here. This is optional if you want to add your email address, and then put your telephone number here. Now here you are going to indicate your citizenship. If you are a citizen, which will apply to most people, you will click this box or check it or put an X in it. If you are not a citizen, but you are a permanent resident, or if you have the proper employment paperwork, then you're going to indicate that using one of these 4 boxes here. And then the last thing that you have to do is to sign it. So if you are using the fillable PDF, make sure to print it after you have filled it in and sign it and date it. And if you are filling it out by hand, then you'll just keep going, signing, dating. Make sure you sign this, it's essential. This part down here you do not have to fill out. However, if someone did help you fill out this form, for instance, if a transition specialist filled out this form for you, or another trusted adult or parent or guardian, then you are going to check that a preparer assisted you in the completion of this form, and they are going to fill in this section right here and sign it, put their name, address, contact information, etc. That is all that you have to do, and this is the only part of the form that you will see, this page right here. There's actually a little bit more that goes along with this. It's quite a large packet. So the second page that is filled out by the employer looks like this. The reason that I'm showing this to you is to make sure that we get the proper identification documents in your file so that we can have everything squared away. Now, in order to make this form work, you have to submit these identification documents. If you want to make it easy and you have a passport is all you will need to complete this form. And again, this particular piece of the form you will not even see. This is something that we at Heart of Oregon will fill out for you. But we cannot do that without you submitting the proper identification documents. So as you can see right here, we have 2 options. We can find a document that is just one document that covers the requirements for list A, which would be a passport, because passports require you to verify your citizenship by submitting those, like a photo ID, a social security card, and a birth certificate. So if you've done that, you've already completed this process, and so all we would need to do is look at your passport, copy the passport, and fill it in right here. If you don't have a passport, however, then we will need 2 documents. So the first one that would go into list B would be a photo ID. Things that would fall into that category include a driver's license, a state-issued ID card, So you can get an ID card from the Oregon DMV, for instance, if you don't have one. A school ID card would suffice as long as your picture is on it and your name. And a tribal ID card would also work for this. So basically it has to be an official ID card with your image on it, a very clear image, and your name. And the second document that we would need, which would go over here for list C, would be a birth certificate, for instance, or a social security card. Those are the two most popular items that are submitted, since most people have those on hand. If you don't have those on hand, you will have to order one or the other. You don't need both of them unless you are enrolling in an AmeriCorps program. So you will only need one if you are not in an AmeriCorps program. So either a birth certificate or a social security card. Typically, social security cards take less time to acquire, usually about 2 weeks once you've requested them. Birth certificates can take quite a long time to request, sometimes 2 to 3 months, depending on where you were born and how much paperwork and is already done. So if you need to order one or both of those, I highly recommend that you do so, even if you don't need them both, just because you will probably need them in the future for other jobs. In any case, all you need to submit to us is either a passport or a photo ID and a secondary document. And that secondary document is either a social security card or a birth certificate. If you have any questions about this, please give us a call.